Hi again, we're Paul and Lindsay Canham, and in the first video we shared how we initially got introduced to Fell financial planning. Now in the second video we'll talk about how we got started together with Fell on our first full financial plan, what that entailed and what it meant for us. Now the plan initially was about 20 years ago and we cannot promise to remember every detail, but what's more important is the overall approach.
Like any plan, to know where you want to get to and how to get there, you need to understand where you're starting from. We needed to take stock of what financial assets and liabilities we already had, and as part of the process, give some thought to different scenarios, both good and bad, that could occur for our family in the future, as well as thinking about what objectives we would like to proactively aim towards. So even if we couldn't necessarily change our financial future, at least we'd have some influence on it.
Now, our first challenge was assessing not just what money was coming in, but also where it was going. At the time, I was a self-employed IT consultant, which was a great job, but I really only had one major client, and there was always some apprehension on when the next big project would come through, and there were no company pensions or other protections to rely on. Meanwhile, Lindsay was juggling having a job in HR with looking after our baby daughter, whilst I was travelling for work.
Although we were careful with our spending, we really didn't track in too much detail where money was going, but we're generally comfortable that bills were paid, we took holidays and did all the normal stuff. With still some extra left to contribute to our mortgage and savings.
But in hindsight, we weren't really preparing in a structured way for the future, and certainly not addressing head on, or perhaps really choosing to ignore possible downsides in terms of risk to jobs or poor health or worse. Plus, although we had recently got a gorgeous Cocker Spaniel, which was obviously going to qualify us automatically as proper sensible adults, we perhaps underestimated the cost of having kids, as lovely as they turned out to be. They told us to say that.
And of course, we hadn't ourselves written down any of the numbers or scenarios or projections, nor did we have the knowledge to do all that, hence why we turned to Fell financial planning. So a big part of the value of creating a full financial plan was that it compelled us to gather in one place facts and figures. I do remember we spent a huge amount of time gathering receipts and credit card bills and working out where the money was going, and of course back then trying to keep tabs on where the cash was going.
Now with the Fell financial planning team, we then had a thorough but engaging discussion on both how our current and projected normal situation would look, as well as more extreme emergent situations like illness, disability or even death. Now, seeing at the end of the process a lifetime financial projection, which considered all the positives and negatives, was very reassuring, as it showed us that if we followed the right approach, we could then spot those pitfalls and address them proactively, not just wait for things to happen.
The end result of the process was a thorough written financial plan capturing all of the inputs, the scenarios, the lifetime financial plan, and also the recommended actions. For us in our situation, the recommendations back then were mostly to set up appropriate protection insurances in the case of adverse events. The numbers and charts made it very clear that this was the main gap for us back then. And although we hope never to call upon such policies, it's reassuring to know that financially we'd be covered and not leaving a debt burden on either one of us or the family.
So this initial plan was done about 20 years ago. Our daughter is now almost 20, our son is 16. And our financial situation and the plan itself have evolved and been updated many times since then, and we'll tell you more about that in the next video. But to sum up from today, even if we didn't realise what we were missing back then, getting started on a proper financial plan was really a huge step forward for us in giving us peace of mind and security. Now we've been fortunate since then, we've been able to make some good work and lifestyle choices, and so now we're looking more at optimising our assets and a decent retirement in the not too distant future. But for now, thank you very much for your time in joining us on this video instalment. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye-bye.